since 42 plus years, 1971. I lived in Louisiana. I was native-born Louisiana, and went to school there, and also lived in Arkansas, Tennessee, Georgia, small little times in intervals in Virginia and Western North Carolina, in Mississippi a little while. It was a career change, or really a move to the Houston and to Texas, to Houston area. And I came here to continue my career. Well, it's its people and the institutions and so forth. That is what I think really. The first time I came here was it's that way, and it's staying today. Always the people. Was involved in several activities, a number of things. School was focused, in that area that people were involved in. My focus was primarily in sports, baseball, basketball, also in the junior and senior play and the musicals. And the FFA was big in that area, and through that you had competitions and so forth and activities that you do, and I was in the FFA. Was able to enjoy the shop and involved in building things. And to this day I have a boat. It's built in 1950 and it's still in my garage. Made from a pattern from field and string. Oh, I enjoyed dances, all the sporting events, going to the local and state fairs and activities in the school, in the community, church. Enjoyed all those things. Yeah, I mentioned I primarily was interested in playing sports and baseball and basketball. I was a pitcher for our baseball team, which went to the state tournament junior, senior year, and we won in 1953, state championship. That'd be hard to say. Today, in this day and time, I spend a minimal amount, seems like a week, basically, if I'm going to church and activities and school activities that I like to come attend and see. In years past, I, spent a lot of time doing a lot of Friendswood always being kind of a volunteer town. I mean, people volunteered to do everything. We were a volunteer community. Building Little League parks and baseball fields and concession stands, and working on various events at the high school and grammar school, and building props for Dr. K and just whatever. Well, I think I had written down it, and I included and mentioned that was probably, without a doubt, it was probably becoming a parent, a father. And that's a powerful impact on any person's life, and when they're younger, and I think especially if it helps you to understand maybe the love that you have for your children like God does his children. But it impacted me in that it directed my career path in a way, because I was such a joyous and happy event that I decided that I wanted to pursue the profession of becoming an obstetrician, in obstetrics, and become an obstetrician. I think it was a good change. It was the fact that it prompted my the career path that I pursued the rest of my life. The purpose is, I think, always to try to improve or to help to make your town, your community, the best place that you make it to possibly be to enjoy life. Well, everything I enjoyed doing was primarily involved with youth projects and school projects. And that's where I spent most of my time in the area of young people and development. Well, probably the most helpful thing you can do, or I think the ones that are probably the most helpful, are the people that on a daily basis serve as EMS excuse me, and volunteer fire departments and standby. But anything that people are, uniquely qualified, that feel have certain talents, I think they'll enjoy, and it'll always give you a lot of reward for helping your community. Well, there were several, but I think the most memorable was the year that we, the men in the community, volunteered to put on a production of A Womanless Wedding. And I volunteered to be one of Loretta Lynn, and wore the black wig, high heels, and bright dresses and all that, and played a guitar and sang a song that was You Ain't Woman Enough to Take My Man. It was a really fun thing to do, and everybody in the community, the boys, the guys, everybody enjoyed doing that. It was a lot of fun. Well, anything I can, just by doing that, like I say, if you want to impersonate a woman and try to sing, you'll do most anything to raise. I enjoyed doing that and going around town to the banks and so forth and dressing up, putting on your little semi-act, getting interest up in it. But the things I always enjoyed doing was like frying fish at the opening day of baseball, or the Wrangler at Booster Club, frying hamburgers on competition day, or making food and beverages and things for the fundraisers over here at high school fairs, and working for the Dr. K always had a group that each parent said, y'all probably, if you're involved in some of the drama and the theater stuff here, that you have to build props and sets and stuff. Scars from that. I was involved earlier on in as a member of the founding member of the charter member of the Clear Lake Hospital when it opened in a little before 1985, or that was early back in the late 70s, early 80s, and also a member of the new hospital at Clear Lake. Was involved with that. Some civic organizer, was a charter member of founding the Rotary, which is a personal business type, business person's club. Probably was a member of the first bank, the only bank in Friendswood for years, until it was later, when it was a board of directors there, and also on the board of the Texas Commerce Bank before it was eventually become the Chase Bank. And I was a longtime member of the Friendswood Friends Church and served on its trustee as trustee on the cemetery committee. And the well, who else have I worked with in the organizations, businesses and civics? And, well, there's several other things that I read that are a lot of pleasure and for me now, and that includes the some charitable organizations, as well as the one is that I enjoy is called the Albert Sidney Johnson Camp for the Sons of Confederate Veterans, and I serve as their battalion surgeon, which they don't need anymore, of course. And also there's a couple of sister organizations that they have that I'm involved with. One is the Heritage Historical Club or Society that sponsors a debutante ball each year. Any of you young ladies that have Confederate ancestors, you're certainly welcome and encouraged to become a debutante. They do that each year, and it's a fundraising. Both of these are essentially not only historical but charitable events and organizations that provide scholarships and so forth. And also the Confederates and what else is the organizations there? There's one that was I didn't want to go. The Masonic. I was become a Mason when I was young, and I'm a member of the Masonic Lodge here in Friendswood, which, as well as the Scottish Rite 32nd degree Masons. And I have a little pin. One of the little pins I have on today is a 50th year Masonic pin that I was awarded when I became a 50-year member. And also the other one is the Order of the Southern Cross, which is one of the Confederate organizations I also belong to, which is a Confederate, which is not only a historical, but it preserves artifacts, museums, and graveyards, and things like that. It's a charitable organization type service too. And I'm on its grant committees for grants and scholarships and so forth. But in the Masonic things here, we enjoy having, and some of you all probably are be interested in maybe applying because there's scholarships there, and it's, among other things, basically a charitable type organization also. And I also am a director of the J.P. Griffon Foundation, which was formed in 1988, and I guess we provide about $20,000 in scholarships to some deserving high school here graduates each year, and those are basically what all I've been involved with. Yes, that happened in a Masonic lodge, and there we, if you ever, well, the ladies won't unless you become an Eastern Star, but men can themselves, if they want to become an intermasonry, they have to go through certain degrees each time. And there was an elderly gentleman there that night who was participating in this degree, and he sat there for a moment, and we thought he was just kind of kidding, you know, and joking, because he was just sitting there and he wouldn't say anything. And in a minute, he tumbled out on the floor. And, oh, Lord, we gave him CPR. Some guy ran across the street. The old city hall used to be right across from the lodge. And my son and I and some guys there, we, resuscitated him best we could. EMS got there and ran him over to the hospital. We went over there later that night, and shoot, he was fine. He was then transferred on down, got him his stent bypass things, and lived a number of years.
D. Well, that's primarily about the only professional positions I've ever had. Involved being in medical care. Prior to that, I did some embarrassing things, like I worked for a power and light company before I was in college and so forth for a little while. Basically, all my life, though, I've after school been, felt like a professional student for about 7 years. Retired since 1998. Oh, okay, well, let's see, initially you are not really employed, but you, after completing things like this basic school, is you go through a hospital internship, and if you go into residency or a more specialized training, you do that in a hospital also, and they employ you to a degree. And slave labor you for about 3 or 4 years. And I did that in Nashville, Tennessee. And then I was inducted in the Army, and there was an Army position for a couple of years. And Fort Benning, Georgia. Fort Martin Army Hospital in Fort Benning. At Louisiana State University, New Orleans, 1960. Based 2 years. It wasn't a lifelong career. It was a kind of a crisis thing that came up along in the early 60s there, that the Cuban crisis was what it was, and they inducted a lot of us there then. That was some really interesting times. I had the opportunity to meet and shake hands with President Kennedy. He came down to tour our troops in Savannah. We were fixing to embark to go to Cuba, which they called off, fortunately. Basically, we were sunk at the dock, I think. There they were. Never made it to sea.